Hanju frowned. He had seen the divine authority generals in the illusion before. They didn't have a leader or independent thoughts. They looked like fighting machines. The evil heavenly emperor said, "I'm not sure either, but I did find the Tao ancestor among the divine authority generals. This matter is really strange. I have to think of a way to investigate." Hanju nodded and noted this down. The two of them chatted for a while more before Hanju removed the dream. He opened his eyes and asked in his mind, "I want to know why the Tao ancestor is among the divine authority generals. It cannot be deduced without karma. What did it mean by no karma?" Hanju began to ask all sorts of questions about the Tao ancestor, but no matter how he asked, he couldn't derive them. It was as if the Tao ancestor did not exist. This was interesting. The Tao ancestor was clearly still in his interpersonal relationships. How could he not have deduced it? It seemed that the Tao ancestor had not been idle during this period of time. He had been secretly working hard. Hanju shook his head and stopped thinking about it. Then, he entered cultivation again. The Fiend Celestials were gathered in the hall in the Grand Primordium domain. Beside the Grand Primordium Fiend Celestial sat a burly figure. It was Pango. Pango's hair was disheveled and he emitted a wild aura. As he breathed, it was like turbid flames spitting out. At this moment, Pango suddenly opened his eyes. The other Fiend Celestials seemed to sense something and opened their eyes with solemn expressions. The other Fiend Celestials began to speak. Why did they suddenly turn to the Grand Primordium domain? Indeed, a mysterious existence is manipulating the divine authority generals. They're just afraid that we chaotic Fiend Celestials will grow stronger. Unfortunately, I wanted to rope in some mighty figures. There are always people afraid of death. The chaos will be under our control in the future if we win this battle. The chaotic Fiend Celestials were all high-spirited and fearless. They were already mentally prepared. Before the battle, they naturally would not dampen each other's morale. Most importantly, they had no way out. Pangu said, "Prepare to set up the formation." The Grand Primordium Fiend Celestial nodded and stood up. An ancient battle that was rare in billions of years was about to erupt. Heavenly Tao. Time flew. Hanju continued to cultivate without stopping after he entered seclusion for 50,000 years. In any case, the Heavenly Tao's development was smooth sailing. Great Tao sages and Great Tao supremes were also guarding it. Only the divine authority could cause trouble in the future. After a certain period of time, Hanju suddenly sensed something and opened his eyes. He felt a huge battle erupt in the chaos. He calmed down and calculated. It had only been a little more than 90,000 years since he entered seclusion. Had the divine authority generals already reached the Grand Primordium domain? It was a little fast. In other words, the Heavenly Tao's future would also be brought forward. Hanju took a deep breath. He was already prepared to fight and was not afraid. He looked at the Grand Primordium domain. The dozens of chaotic Fiend Celestials were already surrounded by 10,000 divine authority generals. Outside the battlefield, the 12 ancestral magi brought the Magus race over, but they did not dare to go up. It was not only the Magus race. Other races were watching the battle and preparing to attack at any time. They were probably related to the chaotic Fiend Celestials. The battle was intense. Panga was the most eye-catching. He fought 1,000 divine authority generals alone and was not at all inferior. After a divine authority general was destroyed, he instantly revived as if he could not be killed. He couldn't see who would win for the time being. However, Hanju felt that the divine authority generals would win. Apart from the Grand Primordium Fiend Celestial and Pangu, the other Fiend Celestials were not as powerful as the foolish Sword Sage. Most chaotic fiend celestials would find it difficult to fight a divine authority general alone. The undying divine authority generals would win sooner or later. Hanju watched with relish. This battle wouldn't end anytime soon. After watching for a while, Hanju lost interest. How long until the divine authority generals reach the heavenly Tao? He asked in his mind. 1 quadrillion years will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. 50万 years. Hanju knew that this was the latest forecast. The actual time would only speed up. He could affect the development of karma, and so could others, let alone existences stronger than him. Come on. I'll be waiting for you. Hanju thought proudly. It was time to test his strength after secretly cultivating for 3 million years. Hanju sent a voice transmission to Heavenly Venerate Shendu, asking him to prepare early to prevent chaos. Heavenly Venerate Shendu immediately gathered the sages. After Sect Master Tianju left, the foolish sword sage opened his eyes and stared at the chaos, watching from afar. The divine authority general's power made him uneasy. Panga was already his mental demon. But even such a powerful mental demon was suppressed by the divine authority generals. The foolish sword sage had mixed emotions. He was both terrified and glad. The divine authority generals seemed to be proficient in some kind of restriction that sealed the grand primordium domain. Some chaotic fiend celestials who had been killed wanted to escape, but they were blocked. Dead end. A chaotic fiend celestial had already died. The foolish sword sage stopped watching and looked at the immortal world. What was Hanju thinking now? Should he visit him in his dreams? No! Hanju must already know that the battle has erupted. Won't I look timid if I go looking for him? The foolish sword sage adjusted his state of mind, and his eyes were filled with fighting spirit again. So what if there are 10,000 divine authority generals? My sword Dao will use you as a whetstone. The foolish sword sage's eyes flickered as he became high-spirited again. Thousands of years later, Hanju was still cultivating when a choice suddenly appeared in front of him. Detected that the divine authority generals are about to attack the heavenly Tao. You have the following choices. 1. Prepare to fight the divine authority generals. You can obtain a great Tao fragment, a creation spirit stone, a primordial fragment, and a supreme treasure. 2. Immediately escape the heavenly Tao and stay away from trouble. You can obtain a great Tao fragment and a creation spirit stone. Hanju chose the first one without hesitation after looking at the choices in front of him. It was rare to choose the first option. You chose to fight the divine authority generals and obtained a great Tao fragment, a creation spirit stone, a primordial fragment, and a supreme treasure. Congratulations on obtaining the ultimate Tao treasure, ultimate mortal robe. Ultimate mortal robe, ultimate defensive Tao treasure. A supreme treasure formed by absorbing mortal power. It is invisible and colorless. It can defend against a blow from a Tao creator. Hanju's eyes widened and his breathing quickened. It could defend against a blow from a Tao creator. Although it was only one strike, it was enough to make Hanju excited. How safe? The system was truly caring. Hanju first took out the creation spirit stone and fused it with a ball of fiend celestial chi. Then, he took out the ultimate mortal robe and refined it to recognize him as its owner. The ultimate mortal robe was a ball of red chi in Hanju's hand. It didn't look like a robe in the slightest. Hanju finally succeeded after 500 years. Something pleasantly surprising happened again. The ultimate mortal robe directly dissipated and turned invisible. It attached to his body, and he didn't even need to take off the Time Tao robe. In other words, he was wearing 2 robe Dharma treasures at once. It was simply too defensive. Impeccable. Perfect. Hanju was full of confidence now. He immediately began the simulation trial and challenged 10,000 great Dao. He stood still and let them hit him. They finally shattered the ultimate mortal robe after 5 minutes. It was stable. Hanju could finally rest assured. He closed his eyes and continued cultivating. Chaotic Fiend Celestial. All living grew up listening to the legends of the chaotic Fiend Celestials. Fiend Celestials were the highest existences in the hearts of all living beings. The Divine Authority Generals had actually annihilated most of the chaotic Fiend Celestials in one battle. For a time, the entire chaos fell into an uproar. After the shock, most of the living beings reacted with excitement. After all, the Divine Authority Generals could not threaten them. All living beings in the chaos would have a chance to rise once the chaotic Fiend Celestials were cleaned up. A chaotic Fiend Celestial could control a domain. Once it died, the forces and power it affected would be immeasurable. At the same time, the gazes of the chaotic living beings landed on the heavenly Tao. Discover new Tories at the Ubin. Co. The chaotic Fiend Celestials were dead. Next was the heavenly Tao. All the living beings in the immortal world also learned about this when the news reached the heavenly Tao. They were in danger. In the Universal Hall, sages gathered. Even the sages of the hidden sect came. Everyone was talking about the battle in the Grand Primordium domain. I really didn't expect them to all die. Even Pangu died. Sigh, it's almost our turn. Don't say it. I'm suddenly nervous. What are you afraid of? Isn't this good? The chaotic Fiend Celestials have failed. How impressive will that be if we win? They had guessed that the chaotic Fiend Celestials would lose, but they did not expect them to all die. None of them survived. Heavenly Venerate Xiandu said, the chaotic heavenly road will be temporarily closed. Only the heavenly Tao life forms are allowed to return. You are not allowed to leave. Pan Xin and Jin Shin nodded. Heavenly Venerate Xiandu continued to deploy. Every sage had arranged things in an orderly manner. His steadiness also calmed the sages. They could only choose to believe in the divine might heavenly sage. Hanju entered seclusion for another 50,000 years. Then, he opened his eyes and came to the second Tao field. He released the new Fiend Celestial and let Murongchi take it away. Tao Comprehension Sword asked, Master, the Divine Authority Generals are about to attack. Are you confident? Liao also looked at him. Hanju said, No, huh? Tao Comprehension Sword panicked. Then let's run. Hanju smiled faintly. Liao said helplessly, would Sect Master need your reminder if he was really not confident? Tao Comprehension Sword was enlightened. Hanju said, Cultivate in peace. The Divine Authority Generals will definitely not be our last enemy. There might be stronger enemies in the future. I need your help with the next calamities. You can't rely on me to do everything personally, right? Liao nodded. Tao Comprehension Sword was ashamed. Speaking of which, these hidden sect disciples had never helped him resolve his problems. Hanju chatted with them for a while before returning to the 100-peak Immortal River. He looked at the chaos next. CRE. From the point of view of the chaos, the 10,000 Divine Authority Generals were advancing towards the Heavenly Tao in a straight line. Although Hanju was already prepared, he still became a little nervous. He had lived for more than 3 million years, but he rarely encountered such a battle. Excitement, anticipation, nervousness. He was also a little scared. Hanju asked in his mind, will I die if I kill 10,000 Divine Authority Generals? 1 quadrillion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. No! Hanju heaved a sigh of relief. He asked, will the chaotic deities personally take action if I kill 10,000 divine authority generals? 1 quadrillion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. No! The chaotic deities wouldn't attack even after this? Were they cowards? Something was wrong. Why won't the chaotic deities take action after I kill 10,000 divine authority generals? 1 quadrillion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. A mysterious existence is restraining them. Hanju narrowed his eyes. It was either Pango, the Tao ancestor, or the two of them working together. Actually, he was not afraid even if the chaotic deities attacked. At most, he would hide in the Tao field. Hanju continued to stare at the chaos. Indeed, the divine authority general's speed was increasing. Faster and faster. Hanju stood up and jumped out of the heavenly Tao with great sage void soul. He came to the 33rd heaven and directly entered the universal hall. Great sage void soul was nerved. He had also spied on the chaos before and witnessed the divine authority general's dominance. Boss, why did you bring me here? I'm nothing. Great sage void soul was sad, but he did not dare to say it. The last time the divine robed Taoist attacked, he had lost all his face and had been looking for a chance to regain it. Why was this happening? Great sage void soul felt that a mighty figure was targeting him. Heavenly venerate Shendu immediately stood up when he saw Hanju. He would not do that in the past. It could be seen how much pressure he was under. Although he was usually calm, he was actually under the greatest pressure. He had to support the overall situation of the heavenly Tao and not collapse. Heavenly venerate Shendu asked carefully, fellow Taoist Han, what's the matter? He was very nervous, afraid that Hanju would say that he couldn't win and wanted to escape. In that case, how could he face the living beings of the heavenly Tao and the other sages? Heavenly venerate Shendu immediately followed upon hearing Hanju's instructions. Soon, the sages arrived one after another. They all came without missing a single one. At this juncture, the sages did not dare to leave the heavenly Tao, afraid that they would encounter the divine authority generals. They could not cultivate in peace and felt uneasy. The sages sat down and looked at Hanju. The uneasiness in their hearts immediately vanished. Hanju was still here, so hope was still there. Hanju closed his eyes and didn't say anything. The atmosphere was oppressive. No one dared to speak. It was the same for Heavenly Venerate Shendu. Great Sage Void Soul scanned all the sages in the hall and secretly despised them. Why are you so nervous? You're not the ones fighting. A group of Heavenly Tao sages and Freedom sages were not even qualified to participate. Wouldn't they turn into dust when the Divine Authority Generals glared? Don't be nervous. You can chat amongst yourselves. We'll wait for the Divine Authority Generals to arrive. Hanju's voice sounded. The sages immediately felt relieved. Long Hao, Tao Sovereign, and the other hidden sect disciples were the most relaxed. They were the first to speak, and the atmosphere soon became lively. That's right. Those chaotic fiend celestials are really useless. They lost too quickly. It still depends on my master. Don't panic. I was still preaching just now. Right? No, they're almost here. The Divine Authority Generals are not as simple as the rules. They clearly received the order and directly came to the Heavenly Tao. They can't wait any longer. Monitoring the chaos is only a pretense. The focus is still to eliminate the chaotic fiend celestials and the Heavenly Tao. The sages discussed and the atmosphere became relaxed. Hanju waited patiently. Foolish Sword Sage sent you a dream. Do you accept? Couldn't he just send a voice transmission? He was clearly beside the heavenly Tao. He hesitated for a moment but still chose to accept the dream. Hanju said, I know. You. Are you afraid? I'm not. It's impossible. Fellow Taoist Red Fate didn't visit me in my dreams. I'm just reminding you. How can I be afraid? The foolish sword sage snorted and removed the dream. Hanju opened his eyes and found it interesting. He did not expect the foolish sword sage to have such a side. But it made sense on second thought. Panga was already dead. How could the foolish sword sage not be afraid? Time passed. It was impossible for the divine authority generals to arrive in a few years no matter how fast they were. Not long after, the universal hall fell silent and the sages cultivated separately. In the dark forbidden zone, a strong light shone from the depths of the darkness. The strong light quickly stretched out like a beam of light. Looking closer, terrifying figures 10 million feet tall could be seen in the strong light. All of them were mighty and domineering. They walked side by side and were unstoppable. Divine authority generals. The chaotic heavenly road happened to be ahead of them. The chaotic heavenly road stretched through the void, with no end in sight. At this moment, several cultivators were hurrying along the chaotic heavenly road. They subconsciously narrowed their eyes when they saw the strong light in the distance. What's that? A woman frowned and asked. A green-robed Taoist beside her had a drastic change in expression. Oh no! It's the divine authority generals. There's someone in the strong light. Run! Return to the heavenly Tao. With that, he was the first to leap and speed through the chaotic heavenly road. The other cultivators reacted and hurriedly followed. They did not dare to leave the chaotic heavenly road. After all, they had heard rumors that the divine authority generals would slaughter the heavenly Tao life forms. Kneel. The 10,000 divine authority generals arrived in front of the chaotic heavenly road in less than 10 steps. The 10,000-foot wide chaotic heavenly road was like a thin line in front of them. The divine authority generals stepped on the chaotic heavenly road together, instantly shattering it. The living beings on the heavenly road were destroyed, no matter how far they were from the divine authority generals. Many cultivators had not even seen the divine authority generals. Their deaths were too sudden and confusing. At the edge of the heavenly Tao, the nearby chaotic city shook because of the collapse of the chaotic heavenly road, startling countless cultivators. Even the sages were alarmed. Dog! Pan Xian gritted his teeth and deduced who had attacked the chaotic heavenly road. Although he cursed, he did not stand up. He knew his limits. He was not a divine authority general's match. Hanju slowly opened his eyes. His eyes were cold and murderous. It had to be said that the divine authority general's actions made him very unhappy. It was unknown if it was a coincidence or on purpose. The chaotic heavenly road that the heavenly Tao had built for 2 million years was gone just like that. It was even crushed. The other sages counted with their fingers. They were furious after understanding the situation. Too arrogant, Zhou Fen said angrily. This was not stepping on the chaotic heavenly road but on the heavenly Tao's dignity. The other sages denounced. Hanju looked at the chaos. The divine authority generals were so fast. As if provoked, they suddenly accelerated. 10,000 divine authority generals surged over. Every step shook the dark forbidden zone. The dark space twisted as if it would shatter at any moment. The heavenly Tao sages could already sense the divine authority general's aura in less than 10 minutes. Panga sent you a dream. Do you accept? Hanju showed a frown. At this time? He immediately accepted it, wanting to see what Panga had to say. The dream was on Buzhou Divine Mountain. You only need to deal with the Divine Authority Generals and survive this calamity first. Alright. Hanju directly removed the dream and didn't say anything else, lest the Divine Authority Generals take advantage of his distraction to shatter the heavenly Tao. He opened his eyes and discovered that all the sages were staring at him. The foolish sword sage and red fate had already appeared outside the heavenly Tao and were looking into the darkness. Fellow Taoist red fate, are you afraid? The foolish sword sage asked with a smile, pretending to be relaxed. Red fate said, what's there to be afraid of? At most, we'll die. Wasn't this woman famous for being afraid of death? Why was she so determined? He was secretly curious. What did Hanju do to her? At this moment, Hanju's voice floated into their ears. Don't attack later. You are responsible for watching the battle. The foolish sword sage was stunned. Responsible for watching the battle? What did this mean? In the end, he did not need to do anything. Although he was puzzled, the foolish sword sage heaved a sigh of relief. He was really not confident. The Pangu he was afraid of had been killed by the Divine Authority Generals. How could he not be afraid? In the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of the 10,000 Divine Authority Generals. He instantly used the simulation trial to copy their cultivation levels and disappeared. The entire process was too fast, so fast that Hanju seemed to have never appeared. The other sages did not notice his disappearance. Hanju predicted that it would take at least 5 minutes for the Divine Authority Generals to arrive. He immediately entered the simulation trial and challenged 10,000 Divine Authority Generals. He fused with 1,949 fiend celestial Dharma idols and waved the primordial judgment sword with the primordial divine rage. With a slash, Supreme Sword Chi swept out and destroyed all 10,000 Divine Authority Generals. Instant kill! Hanju opened his eyes and frowned. He secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Indeed, nothing happened. He was really afraid that after the battle in the Grand Primordium Domain, the Divine Authority Generals would be strengthened. He entered the simulation trial again. This time, he did not attack first to test the Divine Authority General's power. Several breaths later, Hanju opened his eyes and pondered. Heavenly Venerate Xiandu turned around and asked, Fellow Taoist Han, are you confident? He could already sense the terrifying aura of 10,000 Divine Authority Generals. He believed that Hanju could also sense it. In terms of aura, there was probably a number. In any case, Heavenly Venerate Xiandu felt that he would die if he went out. The aura of 10,000 Divine Authority Generals gathered together was too powerful, so powerful that it crushed all wishful thinking. The other sages looked at Hanju, all filled with anticipation and nervousness. They were afraid when they truly felt the aura of the Divine Authority Generals. Even Zhou Fan, Long Hao, Zhao Xinyuan, and the others who had shouted earlier did not dare to brag. Facing their gazes, Hanju said, You probably won't believe me if I say that I'm confident. I'll try my best. Don't go out! Just watch me fight the Divine Authority Generals. The sages heaved a sigh of relief. They were afraid of being sent out to fight. Although they were ashamed, this was the heartless truth. ER! Hanju suddenly stood up and took out the primordial judgment sword. The sword overflowed and purple-red light shone in the hall, dazzling the sages. At the same time, they felt a terrifying killing intent. Killing intent! Pan Xin was stunned as he thought of his heaven-opening axe. Curse the Life faction for seizing my supreme treasure. Hanju raised the primordial judgment sword with one hand under the sage's gazes. The tip of the sword pointed at the Divine Authority Generals attacking from the chaos. Shadows appeared above Hanju's head and quickly entered his body. In an instant, Hanju had already fused with 1,949 fiend celestial Dharma idols. He raised his left hand and stretched out his index and middle fingers. He slowly slid them along the blade as if he was holding a gun. His gaze and the tip of the sword looked in the same direction, aiming at something. The sages were extremely nervous, not understanding what he wanted to do. Zhou Fan couldn't help but ask, "Master, what do you want to do?" Was he going to attack from here? Such a ridiculous thought appeared in the minds of all the sages. They were the divine authority generals. Wouldn't the enemy be alarmed if he attacked from so far away? Hanju said expressionlessly, "Everyone, tell me, can my sword kill 10,000 divine authority generals?" The entire universal hall fell silent. The sages widened their eyes and breathed heavily. Even heavenly venerate Shendu and Laodan were the same. Laodan did not speak, but he was already prepared to escape with Dao Sovereign and the other two when the 10,000 divine authority generals arrived. He didn't expect Hanju to be so arrogant. Killing 10,000 divine authority generals with a single strike? No one dared to jump out and question him. They all stared at the primordial judgment sword in Hanju's hand in a daze. Their hearts beat faster. If Hanju was really... Gasp! They did not dare to continue thinking. Logic told them that it was impossible. That was a terrifying power that could destroy dozens of chaotic fiend celestials. Even the giant god of creation, Pangu, died at the 10,000 divine authority generals' feet. In the mysterious space, murky mist filled the air. The evil heavenly emperor stood in front of a mysterious shadow that shone with a strong light. Between the two sides, an illusion floated and reflected the scene of 10,000 divine authority generals galloping. The evil heavenly emperor's expression was ugly as he felt the terrifying aura of the 10,000 divine authority generals. He had encountered divine authority generals before. They had always walked forward calmly. This was the first time they were running so quickly. This was an obvious sign that they were determined to flatten the heavenly Tao. The evil heavenly emperor looked up and asked, "Senior, are you really not allowed to make a move? I only want you to save the hidden sect." The mysterious giant shadow said faintly, "I won't enter karma or the chaos. I naturally won't interfere. Evil heavenly emperor, don't try to interfere. Behind the divine authority generals are the supreme rules and the great Tao Providence divine authority. Any existence that dares to stop them will be doomed." The evil heavenly emperor suddenly knelt down and gritted his teeth. "Senior, please make a move. I'm willing to serve you forever and be your pawn." "W." Senior always said that you won't enter the chaos, but you always pay attention to it. I know that you have your ambitions. I'm willing to serve you no matter what. Since Senior can see me many times, you must have a use for me." The mysterious giant shadow did not answer. The evil heavenly emperor was still kneeling as he stared at the 10,000 divine authority generals in the illusion. He was extremely nervous. The divine authority generals' speed was tremendous and their strength was terrifying. They could flatten the heavenly Tao in an instant once they reached it. The evil heavenly emperor was originally confident in Hanju, but he learned a terrifying piece of information. The mysterious giant shadow said, "I've already told you that it's impossible for 10,000 divine authority generals to be destroyed. This is the supreme rule of the chaos unless they have the strength to overturn the chaos. Besides, even if I kill 10,000 divine authority generals, an even more terrifying force will appear next. The heavenly Tao is already at a dead end. There's no way out." The evil heavenly emperor was moved. He suddenly looked up and asked in a low voice, "Is there an existence stronger than you in the chaos?" The mysterious giant shadow said, "Perhaps not, but the chaos itself is the strongest." The evil heavenly emperor was indignant and was about to continue speaking. At this moment, A terrifying killing intent came from the illusion, startling him. A sword chi attacked from the depths of the darkness, striking the 10,000 divine authority generals. So fast! The sword chi dissipated, and a huge hole was torn in the dark forbidden zone. Layer after layer of space shattered, revealing the primordial void. The divine authority generals had already vanished. The evil heavenly emperor was stunned. He blinked and stood up to take a closer look, but he still did not see the divine authority generals. Senior, where's the divine authority generals? Hurry up and turn to them. The evil heavenly emperor urged anxiously. However, he did not receive a reply. The evil heavenly emperor asked, Senior? The mysterious giant shadow said faintly, the divine authority generals are gone. How gone? What do you mean? Evil heavenly emperor's heart beat faster than ever as he asked carefully. If he was not wrong, the divine authority generals were killed by that sword chi? Killing 10,000 divine authority generals in one strike? How was that possible? In the Universal Hall, Hanju slowly put down the primordial judgment sword. He had just used the primordial judgment sword as the foundation and used the heaven-earth mystic yellow world piercing sword finger to kill 10,000 divine authority generals. He admitted that he had definitely used his full strength just now and even shook the heavenly Tao. The sages had yet to react, but they were all shocked by the sword strike. All of them were silent. Lao Dan's eyes widened and he trembled. Laozi had grasped the sword Dao, so he was naturally familiar with it. However, Hanju's sword chi just now shocked him. It was definitely not the power of the sword Dao. But it's even more terrifying than Laozi's sword Dao. Most importantly, Lao Dan felt that the aura of the 10,000 divine authority generals was gone. Could it be? He did not dare to think about it. The sages also sensed that the aura of the divine authority generals had vanished. All of them stared at Hanju, the shock in their hearts indescribable. Zhou Fan was the first to break the silence. He asked carefully, Master, the divine authority generals. Hanju sat down and said, Dead. Did anyone guess that I can kill 10,000 divine authority generals with one strike? Boom! The Universal Hall exploded in excitement. All the sages had gone mad. That's right. Mad. The divine authority generals had given them too much pressure in the past hundreds of thousands of years. Especially in the battle of the Grand Primordium Domain, dozens of chaotic fiend celestials led by Pangu were forcefully killed. The pressure brought about by this battle reached the extreme. Although they had expectations for Hanju, they originally thought that there would be a fierce battle. Unexpectedly, instant kill! Killing 10,000 generals with one strike. All the sages were shocked and even felt that it was unreal. They're really dead? Just one strike. Divine Might Heavenly Sage, what realm are you at? Is that true? I can't sense their aura. Gone? This is too exaggerated. The Divine Might Heavenly Sage is so powerful. I'm convinced. The sages discussed excitedly. Su Dudao and Pan Xin even knelt down and faced Hanju with fanatical expressions. The sages of the hidden sect also kneeled, causing the other sages to have no choice but to kneel. Only Heavenly Venerate Shen Du and Lao Dan were still standing. Heavenly Venerate Shen Du hesitated for a moment before bowing. The other sages were fine. They either followed Hanju as their master or were new sages. After hearing Hanju's legend, kneeling to him was like kneeling to an ancestor. Heavenly Venerate Shen Du would never be able to stand up again if he knelt. At least, he knew that he was not qualified to sit beside Hanju if there was a sage meeting in the future. Lao Dan was not a heavenly Dao sage, to begin with, so he naturally did not have to kneel. However, he could no longer maintain his calm. Hanju smiled and said, "Stand up. Why are you kneeling? The calamity might not end here." The sages stood up. At the same time, outside the heavenly Tao, Foolish Sword Sage and Red Fate were shocked for a long time before they came back to their senses. 10,000 Divine Authority Generals are gone? Red Fate asked nervously. Discover new Tories at Vilbin. CO. The Foolish Sword Sage nodded indifferently. Impossible! How could he be so powerful? Foolish Sword Sage roared in his mind. He had never been so excited. At this moment, Hanju's image in his heart suddenly soared. This was the first time he admired an existence. Worship. The Foolish Sword Sage had imagined countless endings and even had the illusion that Hanju would win. However, he didn't expect him to kill the Divine Authority Generals with one strike. The Divine Authority Generals had yet to touch the Heavenly Tao before being killed. This was even more exaggerated than Pangu slaughtering the 3,000 Fiend Celestials back then. At that time, the cultivation of the 3,000 Fiend Celestials was far inferior to the Divine Authority Generals. Their numbers were also inferior. Pangu was not as strong as Hanju. Foolish Sword Sage couldn't help but ask, "So it's over?" This time, it was Red Fate who pretended to be cold and said, "Perhaps." Foolish Sword Sage cursed. This woman really knew how to pretend. She's almost caught up to me. In the mysterious space, the mysterious giant shadow said after a while, "I was indeed wrong. Hanju is not simple. I can't see through him. Perhaps he's the primordial fiend celestial." The evil heavenly emperor said, "I watched him grow. He shouldn't be a primordial fiend celestial. He might be the reincarnation of a mighty figure. You don't have to be nervous. I don't care if he's the primordial fiend celestial, but the calamity of the heavenly Tao is not over. Is the existence behind the Divine Authority Generals about to appear? Take a look." The mysterious giant shadow did not say anything else. The evil heavenly emperor had no choice but to look at the illusion. He saw countless stars appear in the ruined void where the Divine Authority Generals had disappeared as if something was condensing again. That is? The evil heavenly emperor narrowed his eyes. He was not the only one. Hanju also saw it. He didn't let his guard down after sitting down. It was too calm. Nothing happened after the deaths of the 10,000 Divine Authority Generals. It was clearly abnormal. Hanju seemed to sense something and suddenly looked up. His gaze passed through the entire chaos and arrived above the 3,000 Great Tao. The 7 supreme rules that surpassed the 3,000 Great Tao. One of the supreme rules began to twist slightly before emitting a light that transformed into a beam of light that swooped down at the chaos. This beam of light quickly landed in the dilapidated void where the Divine Authority Generals were previously, absorbing all the surrounding stars. Boom! Everyone was in an uproar. The sages in the Universal Hall became nervous again and looked at Hanju. They were relieved upon seeing that his expression didn't change. The Heavenly Tao couldn't die with the Divine Might Heavenly Sage around. All the sages thought so. It was because Hanju's previous strike was too shocking. Primordial Ancestor God has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, stars. Hanju saw a line of words appear in front of him and immediately checked his interpersonal relationships to find the Primordial Ancestral God. Primordial Ancestor God, Perfected Great Tao Supreme Realm, Great Tao Divine Spirit, Chaotic Origin Spirit, Great Tao Controller, Leader of the Divine Spirits. Because you killed 10,000 Divine Authority Generals, he is filled with trepidation towards you. Current hatred points, stars. The Leader of the Divine Spirits. He had finally exposed himself. Hanju was secretly pleased. Since he knew the name, he could curse him in the future. Even if he couldn't curse, Hanju could visit him in his dreams and kill him with the dark forbidden zone. The leader of the divine spirits had not reached the Tao creator realm either. Hanju was satisfied. He would be frightened to death if a Tao creator really appeared. Hanju was already fighting for the peak, and it was not far away. He stopped thinking and looked at the broken void where the divine authority generals had disappeared. A mighty figure vaguely appeared in the pillar of light. Hanju could feel that the other party's aura was increasing rapidly. The sages were moved. Heavenly Venerate Xian Du's expression darkened as he muttered, "Tao Ancestor." The sages were moved the moment the Tao Ancestor was mentioned. At this moment, Hanju suddenly stood up and took out the primordial judgment sword again. He instantly fused with 1,949 fiend celestial dharma idols and used the primordial judgment sword to execute the heaven-earth mystic yellow world-piercing sword finger. A fair battle? Impossible! Just die.